finest weather, got my finest winter apparel, and informed reader glasses on this evening. Yes, and intelligently joined by Thomas Devine. There can only be one, and for this episode, I'm going to throw Esquire on the end of that name. And you guys, super special guest joining us all the way from I call it 10 Dakota because we're trying to blend the states more, hang out more, save the world more. It's your boy Mark, aka the Bagging and Boarding Badboy, YouTube legend, and longtime friend of the show. Mark, how are you doing?
I'm on the internet with my boys. I think it is. I'm feeling really good. I got some new good comics. I can't wait to talk about them. It's a good day, John. It's a good day, Mark. Mark, thank you so much for coming on, though, man. It's really, clearly you've been our comic book brother for a long time. We've met through YouTube and have been rocking it since then. A comic book look crew member. So it's really glad. I'm super stoked that you're able to talk with us today, and we can figure out what people are reading in Tennessee. And but before we get too far into that, audience, can we just take a look at Johnny Runyon today? Look at that gear, dude. Matching glasses, matching his hat. Dude, he's taking the pigtail look from me. Dude, this kid is off the chart, man. Looking good.
That's right. Running my Tom emulator right here. This is awesome. Sergeant America! Oh, this makes me so happy. Sergeant America writes, "Is this really live?" And the answer is yes. We actually are live. So that is fantastic.
We just knew you would write in, okay?
Also, I think this one might be for you, Mark. How about them Titans, says Sergeant America. But Mark, just so I understand, when we're talking Titans, I actually just got to watch season 2 on HBO Max. And so I'm going to pretend like that is not a sports thing at all and run with the DC show on HBO Max because that show is bomb and I love it. So I completely agree, Sergeant America. No sports here.
Yeah, John just runs around on Sundays yelling, "Tighten up, tighten up."
Right. And also, really quick, you guys, just so we can see more of Mark here, I'm going to flip the view in a second, but wanted to just call just a huge nod to the images in the background. Mark had the chance to come out here to Sioux Falls, and I had a chance to go visit him on a previous trip. Mark out here in Sioux Falls, we got him by Falls Park right there to the left of me, and on the right, you got the whole squad, including Sergeant America and Ken, at the Rainbow Store in Sioux Falls. So Mark has definitely had the opportunity to come visit us here and had a good experience. And I had a blast out there too. Shout out to Hastings. Oh, RIP. But good experience there. We're going to flip it though so we can see more of Mark here and that awesome shirt you're rocking, sir. Holy buckets. That is vintage.
That is
that is so great. Awesome. Well, perfect. Well, this evening we got tons of books to talk about. Tom, what do you want to talk about first?
Well, let's jump right into it. I would like to start out, so I'm glad you pitched it to me because I don't know if you guys saw this. This is going to be from Aftershock Comics. It's #1. It's brought to you by a guy that is close as one of my friends, Elliot Rahal. And he has a new book called Knock 'em Dead. So I'm super stoked for everybody to check this out. So why this makes it relevant is it looks like we got a stand-up comedian on the cover. He's dead. Well, what really makes this fun is Elliot was a stand-up comedian or is a stand-up comedian. He hasn't done it for a while, but along with before he was just purely a comic book writer, writing for Valiant and writing paybacks and stuff. He was a stand-up comedian. And so I think this is a really, really fun take where you can tell he knows the world of stand-ups. In the back, we even get a really cool, I'll show you, interview with some like really cool comics, Cameron Esposito and Kenneth Mobley and Grace Thomas and Ben Katzer. I don't know. There's a bunch of cool comics in the back, or comic. And then I think it ties into our old partner, Skylar Bulks, the long lost Skylar, RIP. But he's also a stand-up comedian. So, he hasn't been on the show in years, but so I love it tying it all the way back here. And then I read it all the way through. This is the only book I read today. This will be the only one I'm reviewing, but I wanted to start it out right away. 6 out of 6 beers, Knock 'em Dead. I was literally laughing out loud, and it is not like a kid-friendly book at all. Of course. This is right up Tom Devine's alley, but they have this part here where they have to talk about like jokes and how to do jokes, but he doesn't actually say the jokes on stage. He just does like this scribble, and then the punchline is always a eggplant emoji. So as you can see here, it's like the punchline is always like going to be like a dick. So he's like supposed to be like, oh, ha ha ha, that's a funny joke. But then later they represent how his jokes are going, and it's always like he tries to, if I can get this right, he tries to do a joke, and then he tells his punchline, and then he bombs, crickets, and then a pile of poop, and then a gravestone that says you fucking suck, and then like further an atomic bomb, and then death, and then the last one is just a bag of dicks. And so I don't know if you can see this panel right here. It's really funny. I got to it after reading that entire page, and I was like, dude, you got me sold, man. It's such an original take. And then what happens is a guy that saw his show is interested. Clearly, he's probably been drinking all night, and he gets in his car with him. And then I'm sure it's not going to end well, but totally an original type of story for a comic book. It's definitely weird, it's wacky, and it's funny. So yeah, knock 'em dead. 6 out of 6 beers. Loved it.
Nicely done, man. Sarge writes in, loves those paybacks. So awesome. All right. Cool. Mark, what do you got?
I guess I know a book that you guys aren't reading that's really good. I think Tom said he might get it eventually, but Firepower. Really enjoying that. I haven't read this newest issue yet, but it's been a super solid read. Chris Samney and Robert Kirkman obviously writing it, so I've really been enjoying that. The trade for it dropped it on, well, we didn't have a free comic book day this year, but if we had a free comic book day, the issue number 1 and the trade was going to drop on the same day. Mm-hmm. I don't know how your shop did free comic book day. Did they just kind of trickle in the comics throughout the summer?
Yeah, they did comic book summer. What did they call it, John?
I think probably a comic book summer. Not really anything formal. It was just like, oh, there's comics over there, or hey, you should go get some, because I always forgot, because I'm used to it being on a dedicated day and stuff. Man, 2020, man. So ready for 2021.
No doubt.
That was pretty cool was they took the free comic book day comics and then had a Halloween comic fest with them.
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, I missed that this year. I actually liked the Halloween Comic Fest. I thought that was always kind of fun. But I love variant covers. You know me, I'm a huge geek about that. So,
before you jump into your next comic, I did want to say about Firepower. It's funny that you say that because, I have said before, oh, I should check it out. And I read the free comic book day version. I was like, oh my God, if Chris Samney is just going to be on this, I mean, I guess I have to because I love his art so much. And if this is an original book, he's going to do it. And I've still been on the fence. And then you bring it up for your first one. And then when me and John were at the shop today, we saw Garrett from Wednesday Comics. And he was like, picking up Firepower, new one. Tom, I know you said you were going to get it. Did you get on it yet? And I was like, oh. So you know what? I should just pull the trigger and just read that original graphic novel now, catch up on the 6 issues, and I'll be ready for the ride because it seems like, it's good.
Goes by fast.
Yeah.
You gotta, and Mark too, I don't know if you picked up on this when you were here, but you have to be careful when you run into those Wednesday Comics boys at the shop because they will strong arm you and corner you until you buy their recommendations. For real. They are fierce. And every time I've done it, there's been no regrets whatsoever, but man, they play dirty. So we love them. All right. Well, you guys, for my first book is actually one I know Mark picked up. So I won't spoil it too much, but Batman and Catwoman issue 1, DC Black Label offering. Bruce looking all swole on the cover. I got to be honest with you, this one didn't really do a lot for me. And I think that it's because coming off of the shock value of the 3 Jokers event, also through Black Label. And so I know in my mind that this has to be independent from that, but it just happened, and then a Joker appears in this, and it's just like, I don't know, for me, I'm just kind of jokered out, I guess. And I also am kind of like, wait, didn't that one get shot, or isn't that one in jail, or you know what I mean? Like, it's spoilers galore, I'm sure. So for me, I just kind of read it in complete disbelief of when did this happen exactly. I see that it's continuing. I don't know that I will be. but it was worth a shot. And if anything, I'll just take it for the cover because again, those muscles don't lie. So I would give it 1 beer out of 6 just for the cover alone. The story, personally, for me, it just didn't do much in conjunction with everything else that's going on. Because I am reading Batman, I am reading Detective, I am reading, or I did read Three Jokers, and some of the other Black Label offerings as well. But being a continuity junkie, for me, this was not a good pickup for me. Mark, I'd be curious to see after you read it, like what you think of it. Let me know, and if I missed something, let me know too. It was just kind of like, okay. So yeah, total 1 out of 6 for me.
I know it's going to be like 12 issues too, so you may not want to stick around that long.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I might vacate that avenue. So
time to jump off.
But I tried.
And that's good, John. You got to give it a shot. I mean, it's your, it's those Gotham things. I didn't give it a try, so you did better than me.
Speaking America.
Oh, look at that. Transformers and My Little Pony.
Yep. That's I cannot wait to hear that review, Sarge, on YouTube. I am really looking forward to that one because I have no idea what to expect. Sarge lifted this up on the Rainbow Show earlier today, and I was like, that's a thing, and I guess it is.
Yeah, and that's like where I was like, especially with the kind of comments that normally come from Sarge, it's like, he's lying and this can't be a real thing because he constantly just says lies. So, but I guess if that's a real thing, I definitely skipped the Transformers My Little Pony crossover. But the guy who I work with, my boy, big shout out, his name's Nick, and he is a big brony. So maybe I should pick this up for my dude.
Brony. Oh gosh.
All right, back into what I was talking about before. Strange Adventures. You were mentioning DC Black Label. So this is a DC Black Label book as well. This is Strange Adventures. Tom King and Mitch Gerads. Gerads. I am a big fan of this book. I think it's the best comic book coming out right now. I cannot wait to get into this one. I'm really excited to see if Adam Strange's wife goes straight full evil in this one. We're now on the second half because it's a 12-issue maxi series. So now we're on number 7. So King's going to have to start pushing it down the line. And I think there's no better art than Mitch Gerads and Doc Shanner. So then it splits it up where you have this I can't line up my camera because it's opposite very well, but you see how you get this like really trippy, kind of realistic art. And then once he goes to like the Adam Strange's original world, if he even does in this one, I'm going to spoil this whole book for you guys. No, here we go. But if you look at like this, then it goes to regular like comic book style. So you see how it's just kind of like normal cartooning. It goes into like a normal comic book style. And then when you go into these other worlds, he starts to get crazy and then they switch artists. So there's actually 2 artists working on this. It's so good. I love the dichotomy of both of them playing back and forth. Really, really excited about this book though. But yeah, so top of the pile for sure.
Awesome. Cool. Mark, what do you got?
Also been reading Heavy. This is issue number 3 to that. Really been enjoying this. Just crazy, wacky comic. Very violent. Very good at the same time. You got the variant cover to it?
Yep, I got the red cover. But yeah, I'm so glad that you're getting this. And this is really weird because it is ultra violent, but then it's like this crazy concept where like angels are assassins and they're trying to like earn their way almost out of purgatory or something like that. I don't know if that's the kind of vibe you're picking up out of this, Mark, but yeah. It's weird, huh?
Yeah, but very cool at the same time, obviously. I love the artwork in it. The story's really cool. It's very different than other stuff that you could pick up on the shelf.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I even would say that when I got through the first half of the first book, I was like, I don't know where this is going, and I don't know if I even like this book. And then by the end of like the first full comic, I was like, oh, now they didn't need to like force the story down. I really did have to kind of wait to read the whole thing to really figure it out. And it came together. And then you're like, oh, well, this writer is smart and they're going to tell this story in a fun way. And in turn it is. And yeah, what are we on? Issue 3 now. So we're moving along. Cool, man.
Heck yeah. Kicking up on the X-Men train, we are done with Ten of Swords, so no more horrible headers on my issues, and I am very excited about that.
It's done?
It is done. So that was it last week, was the final 3 parts that came out all in 1 week, right? The after effects are being felt in the follow-up issues, which makes me happy because it says, hey, you just invested a lot of money into something that matters, at least for a couple more issues. Because I hate it when this big event happens and then they maybe mention it 5 years later, like a blip, And it's like, there were big ramifications here, you guys. What the heck? First on the X-Men train, X Factor issue 5. I loved this cover. So being an Alpha Flight fan, North Star and Aura hanging out on this trippy cover, my heart is so warm right now. I love it. I will say that the highlight of this issue would actually be pertaining to these 2 characters. And so at the end, they're talking on the roof. They haven't seen each other in a minute. She actually died, and then the 5 brought her back to life. And previous to that, they weren't able to hold hands because of something that happened way back in Alpha Flight Volume 1 when Sasquatch Walter experimented on her. So they haven't been able to hold hands to do their light magic like you see in the X-Men 90s cartoon, right? So then they actually are able to hold hands since she was brought back, and it depicts some light there. But then there's this beautiful spread that I cannot get over that artwork. Like, I love the Northern Lights.
Still for just a second, yeah, because oh yeah, man, that's cool.
So it was just so cool. And then it shows the rest of the team just like admiring it from afar, including my boy Dakin, aka Wolverine's son from the Dark Avengers.
Really?
My boy flirts with everybody. Oh yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah.
And so
who did Dakin hook up? Bullseye? Dakin hooked up?
Yeah, during the siege. Yeah, that was nuts. And then at the end, a character dies. I can't spoil that just because there might be people that haven't read it yet since it just came out today. Overall, though, this series excites me because it's exploring death when we're in a place where you can bring mutants back to life now based on what's happening on Krakoa. But there's actually instances now where that's not going so well, and they're researching why. So what's different, that kind of stuff. So it's more of a detective book with the quirkiest team ever, including my dudes from Alpha Flight. So I'm totally jamming out. This one, a strong 5 out of 6 beers for sure.
Hell yeah. So, that's good to hear, John. And I love to see those Alpha. First of all, I'm glad that the X of Swords is over. Every chapter is done. I cannot believe that. Congratulations.
I made it. Merit badge.
Congratulations. Yeah. You deserve that. So yeah. And then, dude, dope, man. I love the lightning. It's just to see your Alpha Flight family make its crossover to different ones. Now it's time for 11 of clubs.
Yep.
Do you see, once again, is he making any sense to anybody?
I mean, it could be an event. We have the King in Black. I mean, that's also kind of playing card related,
I hope they name the next event 11 of clubs and I eat my words, and Sarge Merrick is like, no, that was a serious answer.
Oh, goodness.
And it's weird that Sarge can never come on our show because he's too busy with his daughter when he's commenting right now, Sarge. Busted. Okay, we'll see you next week, next Wednesday, Sarge. Sorry to spoil this. Let's get back to the books, people. Okay, come on. I'm getting into it. Chex Quest,
dude. This story, you gotta tell this.
So this is crazy that I'm having this book. Have you ever heard of Chex Quest, Mark?
Actually, I have that issue. I got it like back in the summertime, though. I think it came out free comic book day.
Yeah, it's a free comic. It's just it's a promoting Steam's game, Chex Quest. Chex Quest is the first video game that I finished. So Chex Quest back in the 90s. If your mom was making some Chex Mix, there was a CD-ROM that came in the box, and it was for Chex Quest. There were 8, I want to say, maybe 5 to 8 CD-ROMs that you would need to have each different CD-ROM to play the entire game. And so as you got to different levels, you had to load them in. And I remember my mom made like so much Chex Mix for some church event that she had to she bought like 15 or 20 boxes of Chex Mix, and I got every single one of the discs. And I had an old school computer in my room. It was playing on the old Doom engine, so it's like the Wolfenstein Doom style 3D shooter. And I, like, as a little kid, probably like 6 or 7 years old, or probably 8 years old, I beat the entire game in my room. And I just remember feeling so satisfied that I finally saw the end of a video game. I played Mario, never got to the end of Sonic, but I got to the end of Chex Quest. So then when I saw that this was still on the shelf, I missed it during Free Comic Book Day. And then I looked on the back, was free. I was like, John, where is this coming from? He's like, it was one that we got for the Free Comic Book Summer. I was like, oh, I'm definitely getting this sucker. So yeah, Chex Quest. Can't wait to crack into it. Bringing back all the old memories of me playing video games in my room as an 8-year-old boy, my mom making Chex Mix, me trying to get every single one of those discs. You know, every once in a while you'd get like, open a box and you get like disc number 1. You'd be like, yes. Then you open the next box and you're like, please be disc number 2. And it would be disc number 1. And you'd be like, no.
Oh, no. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, what do you got?
We could go ahead and get into King in Black.
Ooh, okay.
Tell me about it. Here it is. We, precursor guys, John warned me and Mark before the show that there was a rant incoming when this came up.
Don't forget our tattoos, too.
Oh, yeah, we're getting matching ink. That's what we do. I can't even find mine right now.
I'm putting mine right here.
Oh, my God. I totally just lost mine on my desk somewhere. That's awesome. All right, I do have one, though, I swear, you guys. I just don't know where it is.
Yeah, I don't know where mine is either.
Maybe I already applied it. I don't remember. I literally just had it, you guys. I'm the worst fan ever.
I know, you just showed it to me.
I know. All right, Mark. So you picked it up.
Yeah, I still haven't read my copy yet. I'm
Gotcha.
looking forward to it.
I did get it.
Be honest, though. Don't worry about spoiling anything.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Mark, this is a big deal, man. This is a big deal.
Go for it.
All right.
Hey,
so first of all,
John, I want to stop you right there.
Okay.
Mark, what is this? What is King Black? I don't read Marvel, don't read Venom, don't need Spider-Man. Before John gives me the full rant on, why I probably wouldn't like this comic either, let me hear on what is King Black?
To my knowledge, it's very Venom heavy, very symbiote heavy. This is another book that came out today, Null. To my knowledge, it's like pretty much just the Marvel universe coming together to stop Null, to my knowledge. Personally, Donnie Cates is writing it, so I'm like, heck yeah, I love Donnie Cates. And I think Ryan Stegman maybe is doing the artwork.
Oh, I love Stegman. Yeah, he's the man on Twitter.
So great creative team. Let me make sure it is Stegman, though. But I like events like this. I know you guys have talked about how cool it is when the event's over and you got this mountain of Marvel, even though I know sometimes probably you're not big on Marvel, but like it is kind of cool when you have those big events and you have like all the characters there. It's exciting.
Yeah, for sure. No doubt about it, man. So, okay. So this is going to be the new event. They got to stop Null. I'm on it. I'm now caught up. So Johnny, lay it on me. Okay.
So I won't go too far into everything that happens. There was one situation that just really pissed me off, where I just was like, you've got to be kidding me. And here's what it is. So Null arrives at Earth, right? And we got our task force. So Tony Stark is totally putting his feet up behind the desk. He's not even out in the field. He's just running ops, which what event was that previously where they literally he didn't leave the hangar at all? It feels like Tony lately has been like the background guy, and then Captain America's out in the field and stuff. That annoys me in itself. First of all, I wish that Iron Man would be out and about a little bit more versus sending a suit. I get that it's efficient, but it's annoying. But my biggest pet peeve here is that they had a plan C. So plan A, plan B, and not plan C, like the final plan or whatever. The big gun has arrived, Captain America. And I'm like, oh, goody. Like, who could it be? I'm like so excited, right? And it is my boy, straight from the Dark Avengers, the Sentry is back, right? So he's like, hey, I'm here, Captain. Do you want me to come in and deal with this? And he swoops in and takes Null into outer space, okay? And then on the next page, Null proceeds to basically rip his body in half and unleashes the void and absorbs the void into himself. And my biggest complaint here is that if it wasn't Steve Rogers and Tony Stark running this, if Norman Osborn was running this scene right now, it would not be a 3-ring circus. Make the hammer again, Marvel. Let's get with it. This is exactly why we had Dark Reign the first time, was because of poppycock like this. It's not working. It's not working. And they totally just one-shotted one of your most Superman ripoff characters ever in the Marvel roster. I'm so pissed right now. For me, I'm pissed because we know Sentry shouldn't have been ripped in half. That's Ares' job. Sentry ripped Ares in half. That puts that into perspective. So that's how powerful Null is, to answer that. And now he has the Void, which was what made Sentry like super deadly too. So that's a thing.
Yeah,
so I'm a little upset
crazy.
about that. Yeah, so I'm just like, I just sit back and I'm like, what would Norman do?
Well, thank God we don't have to ever find out. But more importantly, how powerful is Null that he can take the Sentry and then
aluminum foil him?
And then didn't Sentry fly into the sun and kill himself or something at some point?
Right, exactly. So I'm like, where did you come from? Yeah.
Okay. First of all, Sentry, it's like what the Marvel universe does when they're out of ideas is they bust the Sentry back out. Hopefully I'm wrong on this, but if you guys remember, Stanley was apparently the person who, invented Sentry. They were going through Stanley's notebooks, and in like old lost long notebooks, he had this character that looked like the Sentry, and it said Sentry by it, and it was like all powerful. And they were like, Stanley, we found one of your long lost creations, and we're so excited that we're going to bring him into the Marvel universe, and it is the Sentry. And he goes, who? Oh, yeah, I don't remember drawing that. I don't remember making those notes.
Yeah.
So the freaking Stan Lee can't even keep this Sentry's guy's brain, character in his brain, man. Now Sergeant America says that he's getting the Null versus Archie crossover. So I just swear to God.
I guarantee you that's going to happen. I can guarantee that. Hey, we also got some really nice input here from Brian Anderson. This is the most realistic episode of Big Bang Theory. I'm loving this. Yes.
Yeah, dude.
That's awesome.
I don't know. I'm the cool one.
I am definitely not the cool one.
Yeah,
I'm the opinionated one. So anyways, that's my rant though, you guys. Again, if we were still in Dark Reign, this wouldn't happen. And that's why we were in Dark Reign in the first place. So if Marvel would have learned a thing or two, let Norman do his thing and run a smooth operation with a couple of dark teams, this would have been fine.
True that.
Yeah. I'm totally kidding. Mark, that's the only spoiler I got for you, though. Otherwise, I'm really excited about the event. I actually got some of the subsequent issues that came out today, too, that we'll talk about when we get there. This one, for me, all jokes aside, total, I'd probably give it a 4 out of 6 for sure. It really was an enjoyable kickoff to the event. And much like Maximum Carnage, I find myself actually kind of excited for a symbiote event. So,
yeah, word. Yeah, and I agree, Brian. You're right. He had a ton of characters that should never see the light of day. All right, my next book that I have, The Boys. Dear Becky, I think this might. I don't know if this is the next arc or is this going right on through. I hope it keeps going through, but I'm loving this. Thank you for Amazon Prime for making that show successful. Yeah, and it looks like Dear Becky's collects 1 through 8. So it's this issue and then one more, and then that's going to wrap up this first new arc of the Boys Dear Becky. It's so fun catching up with, Huey and MM and, everyone else. And Butcher. So it's really exciting. Love having these comics, love just being in the world. So even if this book is not as good as the original Boys that came out, it doesn't matter. I'm just excited to be back in the world. So
absolutely. One off my stack, also on the X-Men train, Hellions issue 7, Mr. Sinister looking all sad. I can't tell you guys enough how much I love the sassy version of Mr. Sinister right now. It is the funniest thing. He is beyond, like, scientifically metro. And and just so flamboyant in the way that he talks, and the way that he talks down to like Emma Frost is priceless, and it is just so fun. So in the last issue with Ten of Swords, pretty much the whole Hellions team got killed, wiped out. So a lot of them had to get brought back to life or whatever. And then in this issue, he's like, Hellions to me. Wait, keep your distance, you know? So it's a very lighthearted book. It's fun. It's got its dark undertones. Technically, Wild Child was a member of Gamma Flight and then Alpha Flight as some weapon. I can't remember his name. I don't think it was Weapon X. It was something like that. So technically another Alpha Flight cameo. Nice. But definitely enjoying the lineup. And just Sinister steals the show every single time. And there's so many puns about his cape that are just brilliant. So this one, total 6 out of 6 beers for me.
Excellent, dude. 6 out of 6. Cool, man.
Yep.
All right, Mark, you got
Sarge for the win.
Sarge, you're dead to me. I'm just gonna let you know that, okay? You are dead.
Oh, shoot.
Oh.
He said that. He goes, Dear Becky is about Aunt Becky going to jail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Thank you, Sarge. Thank you.
Next, I got MODOK here. It's going to be a 4.
How is that?
Patton Oswalt actually wrote this, so I'm really looking forward to checking it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that Patton Oswalt wrote that. That's sweet, man.
It should be. I hope it's just fun. 4 issues can't be too bad.
Yeah.
And
on the
such a silly character.
Yeah,
totally. On the Rainbow Show, they were talking about that too. That there was actually a lot of customers here at our shop asking about that. So that's exciting, and I love random characters getting their debut runs and seeing how it goes. Why not?
Yeah, and it's always good. You get like a Hollywood actor and comedian to write a comic book, then you do get other people to look at it that probably wouldn't, and so that's cool, man. Yeah, I'm glad that. I mean, Patton Oswalt, he originally had that like comic book, or he had a stand-up show on Comedy Central where him and Brian, I can't remember the other comedian with a big old red beard, I can't remember his name. They were doing a thing like a tour together, and when they would get through to a new town on Wednesday, they would always go to the comic shop together. They'd all get their new comics. And I just remember one time that Brian got his stack, and then he's like, I need a bag and board for each one of these books. And they're like, oh, we're actually all out of bags and boards. And he just had like the funniest reaction for like the next day, where he's like, well, I might as well just throw all these comics in the garbage after I'm done reading them because they're all ruined. And it was really funny. So sorry for my tangent.
That's fantastic.
Was it Brian Posehn?
Yeah, Brian Posehn. Thank you, Mark. I knew you'd pull that out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude. Super funny.
I don't know if it's my turn or not. Is it my turn?
Yeah, it's your turn. Sure, why not?
All right. I'm rocking with the Vault Comics here. Something hard. So when they're hitting me with all these foil covers, you can't say no. You cannot say no. So I got Vault Comics #1, Giga. So basically, it is complete night and day. First of all, from autumnal.
Yeah, that's
however you pronounce it. We gotta get them on the show so we can iron that out, how to pronounce that title, because that's gonna bug me for the rest of my life. So this one, night and day difference. So this is not in their vein of like horror comics, but instead this one is really just about humans are living in big mechas. So think of like Marvel Celestials that are like idle sitting on the ground. They're basically living inside the mechas, and it opened up with a discussion about a teacher asking a student like, well, why do you think they allow us to live here? And the student explains, well, I think we're like their ecosystem of like keeping pure, their bodies pure and stuff like that. They're allowing us to live here. The book transitions then where we meet a robot that's kind of hidden, and it's a miniature mech named Laurel, and she really stole the show for me. So I don't know if this will come through or not, but Laurel is just a cute little mecha. I fell in love with this character most of all from this whole issue. Right. Where they are basically they found another mecha out in the forest, and it looks like there were a bunch of human corpses that got royally cooked in there. So people in town started asking about, hey, did you find anything out in the forest? And the answer is no. And then the issue ends where they're starting to kind of scout it out again. So they go back there. He's looking for parts with how to fix Laurel up because her brain's starting to malfunction a little bit. So a little bit of a different direction. It's definitely a neat title. I don't know that it's one that I would continue. I'm not as on fire about it as I would be, with Autumnal.
Yeah.
Autumnal.
Autumnal.
Yeah.
I'm with you though, John. I actually, I pick up most of those type of books, right? I mean, Vault and Aftershock. I do pick up those type of books. I love those publishers, but I did pick this one up. And I just thought, I don't know if this is going to be my type of story. I'm reading this other book from Boom that says, we only get them after they're dead or something like that. And that's like about these giant celestial things that people are like harvesting for different things. And then I thought like, now this is another one. And then I don't know if you've ever I don't want to put, spoil anything for me and John's friend Corbett. He has like this idea for a book where there's like these same kind of concept where these giant things that people live on and they could potentially move around. So I don't know. I felt like it was kind of a tried concept that I had heard a few different times. So I ended up skipping this one. And then, I do bet that people that don't have that same history that I have of hearing kind of all of these stories that kind of have that same premise, I bet they could like this book because the art did look good, at the very least. It was a very like kind of cool cartoony look, but I skipped it. I'm glad you took a chance on it though.
Give it a whirl. Yeah. Gotta support the boys at Vault. So.
That's right. So speaking of supporting the boys at Vault, I'll just jump right in. There's Vault Winter's Teeth. This is Vampire the Masquerade #5. Tim Seeley does one of these. It's like kind of like split into two different stories being told at the same time. One of them's being done by Tim Seeley, and then the other one's being done by Teenie Howard and Blake Howard. And it's I think I like one more than the other. I think I'm just going to go with the wrapping it up. I love vampire stories. I'm a big fan of vampires in general. I like Blade. I like Tomb of Dracula from Marvel. I like all that old Gene Colan horror comics. So this is kind of along those lines, and so that's why I ended up picking it up. I wouldn't say it's the best. Some of the best work that Vault's putting out, where there are things like autumnal or autumnal or whatever, we don't know how to pronounce it, which are really, really highly elevated.
That is going to just bug me until we get that sorted out. That's going to be my first question. If we get them on the show, I'm just going to hit them with that. How do you pronounce your book?
Yeah, what's the name of your book?
What is the name of your book?
No.
In your
But yeah, so totally, I'm glad I checked it out. But I'm also, I don't know if I'd be a big recommend. It's definitely for a fan like me who likes Vault and likes vampires and likes Tim Seeley.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, what do you got?
Got Justice League Endless Winter.
Ooh.
I feel like an event just running through December here from DC Comics. I think it'd be roughly 8 issues or so, but I thought it looked cool. Kind of like.
I see what you did there.
What's that?
It looked cool. I see what you did there.
To my knowledge, it's kind of like Games of Thrones-ish, but I've only seen up to like season 3 of Game of Thrones, but I think it's kind of like that. It reminds me a lot of War of the Realms. Wasn't that the Marvel event where they were fighting Frost?
Yep.
Yeah. I think that's this is DC's version of that.
Gotcha.
I thought it might be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is that why you're bundled up in your winter hat right now?
And I'm feeling the chill.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah, man.
Cool. On the DC side of the house, I'll jump on that. Batman issue 104, you guys. This one had been kind of falling flat for me a little bit. For like 102, 103, it was just kind of slow for me. So this one deals with, the Ghostmaker. It's an interesting backstory. It's Bruce having a longtime friend from long ago that we didn't know about until now, right? After how many issues of Detective Comics? 1,000 something. I don't know. Like it's cool. It's not terrible, but it's not anything new. For me. So again, this one continues to kind of C+ it for me a little bit. It's not the strongest offering, but I'm still rocking with it just because I'm hoping that it'll take a turnaround at some point. I just don't know what that looks like. But the other thing too I was gonna say was, I think that we talked about this once with, I think maybe Garrett from Wednesday Comics, or it was talked about at some point, but there's this epic moment where Barbara's talking to Dick Grayson. So, he's on his motorcycle, right? And that's how the page ends. I've never met him. I've only seen him once. And then you turn the page because you're like, well, tell us about that. And it's that freaking Snickers ad with Batman in it. And I can't tell you how many DC issues that has punched me in the face so hard, where I'm just like, what's going to happen? Snickers.
Dude, I hate it.
Hate it. Every time Snickers. It makes me angry, and then I just want a Snickers bar.
Yeah, it used to be the fruit pies. If you look at those old comics, it's always like those Hostess fruit pies were the culprit. Now Snickers. You don't want it. That's not a shoe you want to be in, Snickers. All right.
Yeah. Total 3 out of 6 for me.
Oh yeah, you finished. I always forget that you've already finished all these books. You got a rate
3 out of 6 for me. Yeah. Mark, how's this series been for you from your perspective? Are you reading Detective too?
Oh, I'm reading Batman. I'm
okay.
Behind on Detective though. I was Detective with the Joker War, but since then I haven't caught up with it. But
gotcha.
How
are you?
Joker War, I thought that was phenomenal though. I really dug it.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're down with the series right now. You like it?
Detective or Batman?
Oh, Batman.
Batman, yes. Batman.
Cool.
But yeah, Tinian's still writing it. I think it's still really good. I love that punchline tie-in as well. That was super well. I don't know if you liked it or not. I can't remember.
It was informative. So yeah.
Yeah.
I got it because I just wanted to know where the heck did she come from.
Right.
And it sure answered that question. So I liked it.
Yeah, she's a cool character.
Yeah.
Sweet, man.
Oh boy. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we got a comment coming in from Sarge. He goes, you can. The reason you can't see him on the show is you can always be found at 41st and Louise screaming, "The end is near." Bedtime for him. So good night, Sarge.
Oh, gotcha. Good night. Have a good one.
Right. I have this VHS you guys can check out. This copy of the VHS T120. Just kidding. Isn't this an interesting cover to design your comic book cover like an old VHS blank tape that we all recorded our favorite cartoons on? So this is Spy Island, as you can see up here. This is number 4. This is the Wednesday Comics least favorite comic book of all time. One of Tom Devine's favorites. And it's all about mermaids and ridiculousness and funny satire, like you can see on the cover. This back ad looks like straight out of Newsweek 1978. All of that stuff, I'm totally for. As I enjoy graphic design and looking at design and graphic design, that's the kind of thing that really will sell a book for me. And I always talk about how I always loved like those mind management ones, and Vault does them. I wanted to see, or Aftershock does them. Like there's this one's coming up. I think that's a really good back ad that doesn't that plays tropes on these back ads. So I'm excited for this. Number 4. It's definitely nothing to write home about, but I mean, it's definitely just a funny book. So Spy Island number 4, I'm excited to crack into it. Haven't read it yet though.
Got a note here from Mr. Brian Anderson. When has DC actually released something truly original, though? Seems to be a lot of reworks and rehashes. I think that's fair. I was actually flipping through this, though, the DC Future State as an example. So this is like what's coming up or whatever, which it looks like they're doing like another rebirth, basically. And I don't know, Mark, are you familiar with this at all?
Yeah.
I was thumbing through it. What are they doing? Is it going to be like a whole new rebirth, a whole new 52? Is that what we're doing with Future State? Is that what that is?
This is going to go for 2 months. It's going to introduce like a lot of new characters, like future, like Batman, like a future Wonder Woman, stuff of that nature.
Okay.
A lot of when they had all.
Yeah. I was thumbing through it. Like some of the costumes look, different. Certainly, it makes me wonder though, like. What about like Batman Beyond? Because isn't that the future? You know what I mean? Like, or did that not happen? And doesn't that matter? Like, I love the cartoon personally. But yeah, Brian, to your point, that is an excellent call. I think both the big two are pretty guilty of that on a pretty massive scale. Some original things I personally feel would be some of the earlier issues of Detective that I've picked up randomly had more of the city infrastructure angle. And then I know there've been some like limited runs too, talking about like Gotham City PD, things like that, where it's minimum capes and it's more real people. So things like that I enjoy. Another thing that comes to mind, wasn't there a horrible TV show that did not do well at all dealing with superhero cleanup? Like from, I think it was either Marvel or DC, where it was like supposed to be a sitcom or something, and it just didn't take off very well, but it was in one of the major two universes. So I think that it's been attempted, it just doesn't sell as well because people are drawn to the capes for sure, like the familiar characters for those two universes.
And I would say to some certain extent, I mean, if you're reading Marvel and DC, you're kind of looking for rehashes and reboots, and you're looking for things that are not exactly original thoughts. You like played on these tropes, superhero tropes and stories that where you know the good guy can win. And when it is heartbreaking when a person that you have spent hundreds of comics with gets hurt or is in trouble or is in danger, those kind of things that make the non-original stories of Marvel and DC are kind of the same reason that you feel comfortable reading Marvel and DC. You know, it's like Mark is picking up that Winter's Bone or that Winter's, what was it again? Yes, from that Justice League in
it was
Winter's Edge or something like that.
Endless Winter.
Endless Winter. So he's picking up Endless Winter, right? I bet Mark knows that that's not going to be the best book that he's ever read. But I bet Mark is going to have a blast when he sees Wonder Woman, Batman, Superman, and Green Lantern, and the Flash, and Cyborg, and everybody else come together and kick the hell out of whatever cold threat that they have.
Oh, Mr. Freeze.
That's dope, man. That's a fun thing. That's what makes Justice League fun. So yes, I agree that the big two, like John said, they are guilty of that. And then there are some different times where it may seem that they are rehashing things like Deceased from DC. John called them out, being like, Marvel Zombies already happened. But then, you know, Garrett was able to kind of explain how, you know, Tom Taylor is taking it different places and it is still such a good story. So that even though they're not knocking down new barriers, they are still bringing great comics. And then if you do want the big two, specifically DC, putting out comics that are unlike other comics that they've ever put out, you don't have to go any further than this book. Strange Adventures is not like any other book they have ever put out. It's looking at the merit. It's literally about Adam Strange's wife could possibly be evil. He could have been a war criminal, and he could have killed his own daughter because he didn't care what was happening. He never took the time. He was thoughtless. And this is an angle that Adam Strange has never found himself in. Adam Strange is a pop 50s sci-fi bang bang pew pew kind of story and kind of comics. It's for kids, and this is taking it in a whole nother direction.
Definitely. That's why I stopped reading Marvel and DC, because all their stories are just mushed together with same characters. TV shows are all like Dawson's Creek. Totally fair, and I love that. I don't want to wait, baby. That's right. Indie books need more attention. Yeah, man. No, I agree with that. I think that some of the television shows are definitely running together. I will be curious though to see how, you know, the Disney Plus offerings come up, how those go in terms of Scarlet Witch and Vision and Loki TV shows, because those are very quirky selections. So I'll be curious to see how television that matters to the MCU, because S.H.I.E.L.D. did not, clearly, how that will go. And I know maybe that's a little bit different compared to some of the TV shows that you're referring to. I don't know. I still got to give it up to Generation X. From the 90s. It was so bad. It was so bad, and I loved it. It was great.
I'm glad you bring up that it's called WandaVision, right? Or
WandaVision, sorry.
And that's going to be based on a Tom King. That's the guy, Tom King, who's writing this, who's doing original superhero stuff, is based on the Vision family comic book series that Tom King wrote. It's really, really good. It talks about what is AI, is if you can think and feel and you can have a relationship with this person, is that because they're made up of the mechanics instead of, organic material? Does that make them less of a life form? It's going to explore some really cool stuff. So exciting.
The final thing too with Brian's comment about indie books need more attention, I couldn't agree more. I think that Rainbow does a really good job of boosting when they have like a book that just really pops out. They talk about it on their page or on the Rainbow Show. Likewise, I've been starting to try out more Vault, and then I'm also rocking Monstrous from Image Comics right now, which I really love. So there are some quality stories out there. As you can see behind me, I'm a huge Marvel zombie, and so I'm very passionate about following my characters when the stories and the art are on point. So sometimes when a run takes a dive, I just am like, nope, got to get out. But I am starting to appreciate more offerings from Vault and Image as well. So definitely for anyone that's watching, if you're not familiar with those comic distributors, get familiar because there's some wonderful things under the hood.
Excellent. Mark, you got any more comics?
Yeah. Also got Savage Avengers here.
Yeah.
Basically like your Avengers, and then it's a little bit like, you can say, D&D themed a little bit. You got sorcery and magic and stuff going on there along with your superheroes. It was better in the beginning, like when you had more Punisher was more part of the team. He hasn't been really in action lately. But you got like Conan teaming up with like Black Widow and stuff like
fun.
that. I've been enjoying it for the most part, though.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I got 2 left, Tom. I got 2.
Okay.
You want to do one?
Yeah, do one. I only got 1 left, so.
All right. Atlantis Attacks, issue number 5. So this is rocking with the new Agents of Atlas. So this is one that I personally have been loving the series because it's a new side of the Marvel U, dealing with the Far East characters, and I freaking love this book. What I didn't realize was that this is going to tie right into that King in Black event, and I was like, oh, okay, how's this going to work? So I'm reading it, and it literally doesn't until the last page of, oh, we just ended a crisis. Now let's go stop another king. And that's it. And that's how it ties in. Are you freaking kidding me? So it's an introduction to the Namor #1, King in Black, Namor one-shot, one-off. They're going to be in there. And so I was like, why is this stupid banner on my comic? That's my question. Why? Otherwise, great issue. I loved it. 5 out of 6 beers for sure. But again, the relevance, I mean, truly, it had nothing to do with it. Even the cover portrays it like it did, and it didn't. So, sorry.
Mark, you got any other comics left?
Just the Union. This is also tying in with King in Black. It's a mini series. I don't know a lot about these characters other than I believe that's Union Jack, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, that is.
These other characters I'm not even real familiar with, but hopefully this will be a good mini series tying into the event.
Yep.
You ready?
This one I loved.
Oh,
Loved it.
good.
Love. I don't know Union Jack that well. I don't know. Britannica's the gal in the center with the shield. The rest of them are literally new characters, to my understanding. So they are coming from the various parts of the United Kingdom. So Wales, Ireland, Scotland. So it really is just having fun with that portion of the MCU, making a team come together. I had a lot of fun with this title. Union Jack, this actually is a mantle that's been passed down. So the original Union Jack first appearance is not the same guy or anything like that, but it's more of a mantle, just like, like a Captain Britain, same thing. But ultimately, it is a fun issue for sure. So I love it, recommend it. I would give it 6 out of 6 just because it's newish characters. It takes me back to that old Excalibur feel, and I freaking love that too. So I hope that you like the characters. I wanted to see more of them. That would be my only complaint with some of the new power sets. We saw a little bit of it, but I guarantee you that in issue 2 we'll see more of that. It is a limited run reality, but it is a lot of fun. So
that sounds cool as hell, man.
Yeah.
Well, since that was your guys' last book, my last book is Dead Body Road. This is number 6. This is the last. I'm almost positive this is the last one in the arc. I had said the last time that I tried to jump into number 4. I was all lost. I'm reading too many other books and too many crime books, and this is clearly like a book that should be written in a graphic novel kind of form. I think was where it's going to go better. But I'm a big fan of Justin Jordan, so I'm picking this up. I do like it. I like crime stories. It's like takes place in the South, takes place in like old back dirt roads down in a holler where nobody's around, and things can go kind of here or there, and I kind of like those kind of stories. But it's just I'm going to, now that I have this copy, I'm going to start back at number 1 and just read it all the way through and get the full thing. So yeah, exciting though, and it was a great week. Is all I can say. Is that was a healthy stack of comics. I'm very, very happy about these great reads that we came in. I'm super stoked, hanging out with Mark and getting him back on the show. And then, thanks Brian Anderson for having all your great comments about TV and movies. I do see him coming in here. I do appreciate you, shouting us out and watching, man. It's so great. So all I can say is so far my Wednesday is pretty freaking awesome. Thanks, boys.
Dude, heck yeah. Well, definitely. I was just reading through here. Yeah, Brian, thank you so much for participating tonight. And for anyone that is watching, feel free to, send us comments and notes, and we will get to those as quick as we can. Sometimes I get on a tangent or an angry rant, so sorry for any delay. But thank you guys so much. The participation tonight was wonderful. And Mark, always happy to have you on the show. It's awesome to see you, and you're rocking our most vintage shirt ever. So kudos to you. That is amazing. Yeah. So I guess the final question that we have for you, Mark, is what's next on your horizon? What's happening? Are you rocking videos? Or what's next for Bagging and Boarding Badboy?
Man, I've just been kind of missing in action. I think COVID's just kind of taken it out of me. This is like the first one in months. So
definitely.
Good to be here tonight.
Definitely. The internet misses you.
We do. But you'll come back on our show again, won't you?
Oh, for sure. Anytime you guys need a spot filled, I'll be there.
Heck yeah. So you guys will see Mark. Our Tennessee connection ain't going nowhere.
10 Dakota, baby. If you guys are super bored and you want to hear Mark and I spit some fat rhymes, just Google search John on Demand and Bagging and Boarding Badboy. Search Lenticular, the single. It's amazing. Or Punchlines, of course, too. But Lenticular is my personal favorite. It's fun. But we'll shut it down, you guys. Another great episode here. Proudly sponsored by Rainbow Comics. If you're in Sioux Falls, come say howdy to the shop at 42nd in Minnesota. Great group of guys there. They read your mind. They know exactly what you're looking for. They're amazing like that. John Nordstrom, a.k.a. Jean Grey. Shout out, mind reader. If you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, also we have a location there. So definitely swing by and say howdy to the crew. Great group of people there, and just excellent selection in both locations. We hope that you guys are having an excellent start to your December. It is the holiday season, so it's just a time of joyousness, and every Wednesday's a joy. Mark, it was awesome having you once again. Thank you so much. And you guys know the drill as always. What do we do on the show?